Shalom Aleichem, my dear brothers and sisters. Today I want to present to you what I think is a major argument against the theory of evolution. Now, before making this video, I've talked to a biologist, I've talked to several doctors, and after I saw that they cannot answer my question, then I became confident in posting this video. So first thing I want to explain to you what the theory of evolution says. The theory says that sometimes once in a while cells or some species or animals or insects, whatever it may be, once in a while they receive a random change in their DNA and therefore end up having something extra, like an extra organ or some kind of an extra thing on their bodies. And therefore these random extra things sometimes may end up being beneficial. If they are beneficial, then that specific animal has an advantage over the other animals of its kind, and therefore it has more chances of surviving. And therefore the others die off, while this one, or others that have that change as well, while these ones survive, and eventually their descendants pass on that DNA, and therefore after generations and generations and generations, the ones that are better equipped for survival end up living, while the rest die off. And hence nowadays we have all these animals and we have humans that, if you take anything about their body, everything about their body, they are so fine-tuned for survival. And that's what the theory of evolution says. That the organs that are needed for survival or give advantage to survive, those organs stay, pass on. Everyone else who does not have these eventually die off. So there has to be some benefit to these changes in the DNA in order for that to stick. Now, the major argument against this is if we find something that has absolutely no benefit, and yet this change exists, and it seems to have been designed. So I'll tell you what I mean. What I mean is symmetry. If you look at the human body, or animals for example too, you look at the body is completely symmetrical, what's called apparent symmetry. For example, we have two ears, they are both on the sides, and they are about the same height. We have two eyes on the sides. Anything that's one, it's always in the middle. Nose, mouth. We have two hands on the sides. Each hand has 5 fingers, and the other one also has 5 fingers. Now, if you're gonna say that the body evolved randomly, then randomly things should be random. So the one ear could be here, another ear could be here, or one eye here and there's no other eye, for example. It has to be randomly. Now, the evolutionists will try to find a way to explain that having symmetry is beneficial. And what they try to say, for example, is one way they try to answer that is saying that symmetry helps with balance. So since human has everything is symmetrical, or human or an animal, therefore it can better keep its balance, and therefore the other ones died off, the ones that were not symmetrical. However, there is a major problem with this argument, and I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is, if that's the case, then how come the insides of a body are not symmetrical? For example, the liver, it's not symmetrical, it's on one side. The intestines are completely not symmetrical. Even the heart is not symmetrical. If the whole point of symmetry is to keep balance, then everything inside should also be symmetrical. But no, the insides are not symmetrical. So what I think is this, that the outside of the body, we can see was designed to look beautiful. The inside of the body doesn't matter because nobody sees inside anymore, so it doesn't matter. That's why not everything is symmetrical there. In fact, many things are not symmetrical inside the body. On the outside, everything is symmetrical. Now, if you say that the only benefit for symmetry on the outside because it just looks nice, then you automatically have to say then somebody who designed it to look nice. So I think this is a major argument against the theory of evolution, and if somebody wants to argue on that, on what I said, then please welcome comment, and we'll discuss. And by the way, this reminds me of an interesting and funny story that happened about 300 years ago in Europe. There was a Jewish day school, what we call a yeshiva, and this was during the times of Enlightenment. A scientist came to the yeshiva and said, "It has been discovered recently that humans are descendants of monkeys." So the students asked him, "Really? How do we know that?" Because in the yeshiva, I don't know if any of you guys been to the yeshiva, but there's always arguing going on. This is how truth is born. People argue and try to find out what the truth is. So they ask him, "How do you know?" So he says, "Good question. It has been discovered that a human body has a backbone, an extra backbone called the tailbone. And it's assumed from here that there was a tail once." So the kids ask him, "So where is the tail now?" So the scientist says, "Well, one of the monkeys decided that it no longer needs the tail, and it started rubbing itself against the rock, and the tail fell off." So the students ask him, "Really? If that's the case, it doesn't make sense. Because if a person has his arm, for example, amputated, his children are still born with an arm." So the scientist says, "Yeah, good point. But what happened? All the monkeys of that generation, or many of them at least, started doing the same exact thing. The tail fell off. Their kids, correct, were still born with tails. However, the kids started doing the same thing. The tails fell off. The grandkids started doing the same thing. And then after a few generations, new monkeys began to emerge without a tail." So the yeshiva students tell him, "It still doesn't make sense. We've been doing circumcision for 4,000 years, and yet not one baby is born with circumcision." I hope you liked the story. Thank you for watching.